Welcome to Initial Signs of Psychology.
Today, we're diving into why we tend to remember embarrassing moments more than our successes. It's all about understanding this phenomenon and why it really matters. Let's jump right in. You ever wonder why you can still recall moments of humiliation from years ago vividly, while instances of your success seem distant and unclear? Well, it turns out there's a scientifically backed reason for this phenomenon, and it's all related to how our brains process and store memories. So let's take a journey back in time together and explore those times when life felt a bit cringeworthy and uncover the fascinating psychology behind why these moments stick with us long after the initial discomfort has faded. The human brain is an incredibly intricate and complex organ that stores an astonishing amount of information. But did you know that according to neuroscientists, it only holds on to about 2% of the information it receives? The rest gets filtered out or lost due to the brain's attempt to make sense of the constant influx of data. This means that for every 100 things you experience in a day, only 2 of them will be stored in your memory. One of those is because it's meaningful to you, and the other is because it's surprising. In other words, memorable events are often those that stand out from the ordinary. When you think back on your life, you'll realize that many of your most vivid memories align with these 2 categories. They're either significant events, like birthdays, holidays, or milestones, or they're unexpected or shocking occurrences. These memories become ingrained in your mind, shaping the narrative of your life story. For example, let's say you had a presentation at work. Your brain received an overwhelming amount of information during that event, just like it does every day. Out of everything it took in, only 2% will be stored. Now, if the presentation went well, that memory might not be retained because it didn't stand out as particularly meaningful or surprising. However, if a funny and embarrassing thing happened during the presentation, such as a technical difficulty or a joke that fell flat, then that moment would be much more likely to stick in both your memory and that of your colleagues. In fact, research shows that negative experiences are remembered more vividly than positive ones. This is known as the negativity bias, a trait shared by humans and other animals alike. This bias means that unpleasant emotions and experiences leave a stronger impression on us, making them more memorable. But why does this happen? Why do negative memories stick out more than positive ones? Well, it comes down to survival instincts. Our brains have evolved to pay more attention to potential threats and dangers. This negativity bias ensures that we learn from our mistakes and avoid repeating them, which increases our chances of survival. So you can think of it as an inbuilt survival mechanism hardwired into our brains. It's easy to understand why embarrassing moments leave a lasting impact on us. They involve social rejection, humiliation, or public scrutiny, which can evoke feelings of shame, self-doubt, and anxiety. But what might surprise you is that even seemingly minor embarrassing moments can trigger these intense emotions. Imagine accidentally liking an ex's post on social media, or wearing mismatched shoes, or having a wardrobe malfunction. These everyday occurrences can send us into a spiral of self-consciousness and mortification. And the worst part is that once these experiences have been cemented in our memories, they can be difficult to shake off. Even years later, the mere thought of these incidents can bring back the uncomfortable feelings of embarrassment and shame. So, why is it that these cringeworthy moments stick with us for so long? To answer this question, let's delve deeper into the science behind memory retention. When we experience something embarrassing, our body automatically releases stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol into our bloodstream. This reaction is triggered by the amygdala, the part of our brain responsible for processing emotions, which quickly identifies the situation as a potential threat. As a result, the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain that regulates our thinking and reasoning, temporarily shuts down, leaving us feeling overwhelmed and unable to think clearly. This fight-or-flight response is an evolutionary adaptation that has helped our ancestors survive dangerous situations for centuries. But unfortunately, it can also be triggered by seemingly harmless, embarrassing situations. In addition to the physiological response, our brain also plays a role in how we perceive and remember embarrassing situations. According to the self-reference effect, we tend to remember information that is personally relevant to us better than information that is not. This means that when we experience something embarrassing, our brains prioritize processing and storing that information because it directly affects us. This is why you might remember the details of a humiliating moment vividly, even if it happened years ago. Your brain has prioritized that memory because it contains personal information that could be useful in similar situations in the future. Now, let's see how you can use this knowledge to overcome the effects of embarrassing moments. By understanding the physiological and psychological mechanisms behind embarrassment, we can develop strategies to cope with these uncomfortable experiences more effectively. First, we must recognize that feeling embarrassed is a normal and even necessary part of the human experience. It means that we care about how others perceive us and want to be accepted and respected by them. It's important to acknowledge these feelings rather than trying to suppress or ignore them. Second, we need to develop a growth mindset. When it comes to embarrassing situations, instead of seeing them as failures or setbacks, we can reframe them as opportunities for learning and self-improvement. By adopting this mindset, we can learn from our mistakes and become more resilient in the face of future challenges. Finally, we can practice self-compassion and kindness towards ourselves. When we experience embarrassment, just as we would comfort a friend who was going through a difficult situation, we must extend the same courtesy to ourselves. By treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, we can reduce the negative impact of embarrassing moments and move forward with grace and dignity. And now let's turn to your experience. What embarrassing moments have you encountered that continue to haunt you today? Share your stories below and let's help each other navigate these difficult situations together. By sharing our experiences, we can build a supportive community where everyone feels comfortable discussing the uncomfortable realities of human interaction. Furthermore, exploring these shared experiences can help us gain new perspectives and insights into our own embarrassing moments. By hearing how others have dealt with similar situations, we can learn valuable lessons and discover new ways to cope with our own experiences. Let's start a conversation and create a safe space where vulnerability and authenticity are celebrated. If you found this information helpful, please share any relevant links in the comments. Everyone, thanks for watching. Take care.